Tanya takes out a loan. Tanya takes out a loan. Focus question. What does Tanya want and what choices does she have to make to get it? Tanya and Thad Fredrickson are twins. Most people think they look alike, but that's where the similarity ends. While Tanya is outgoing and has lots of friends, Thad is shy and has only a couple of good friends. Like most kids, Tanya likes to buy things. Thad does too, but not the same things. Both Tanya and Thad earn money each week by doing jobs around the house as well as for a couple of neighbors. At home, Thad washes windows, cleans up the table after dinner, sweeps the floor, and vacuums the carpet each week. Tanya washes dishes, mows the lawn, and takes out the trash. Thad also mows the lawn for two neighbors each week, while Tanya walks a neighbor's dog every morning and evening. Their incomes are good. Each of them earns an average of about $35 a week. Thad and Tanya like doing the work because they both love getting paid. The money they earn pays for going to movies and buying things like snacks, books, magazines, and clothes. Thad also spends money on video games and Tanya buys music. Thad usually deposits about half the money he earns each week into a saving account. When Thad saves enough money, he uses some of it to buy shares of stock. Owning a share of stock is like owning a piece of a company. So far, Thad owns 25 shares of stock in Cartoonix and 28 shares of stock in E-Blast. Since Thad loves to go in Cartoonix movies, watching Cartoonix channel and playing electronic games, as do most of his friends, he thought Cartoonix and E-Blast would be good investments. After doing some internet research on stocks and talking to his parents, he concluded that these companies were good choices. Thad likes to see his investments grow in value. Based on his research, Thad thinks those stocks should eventually increase in value by 20 or even 30%. When Cartoonix and E-Blast earn more money than they spend, those companies sometimes choose to pay dividends to the people who own their stocks. Thad always reinvests his dividends into each company's stock and uses the money to buy more shares. Of course, stocks don't always go up in value. Sometimes investors lose money. It depends on each stock's investors buy, when they buy them, and when they sell them. But Thad is young and patient. If his stocks keep doing well, he'll hold on to them and let them keep earning him money. If his stocks start losing value, he can decide whether to sell them and buy other stocks instead. Tanya doesn't want to buy stock. She wants her own smartphones. She thinks he earns enough money to pay a monthly phone bill, but Tanya can't seem to have the $200 it takes to buy the phone. Tanya has to think of another way to get the $200 to buy a smartphone. One day it occurs to her that Thad seems to always have extra money. She decides to ask him to loan her the $200. She takes the afternoon to work up the nerve, but Thad's reply is one raised eyebrow. But you haven't even asked what the loan is for, she protests. Let me guess, he says, a smartphone? Right, you always seem to have plenty of money, so I thought maybe you could loan me the $200. I'll pay you back, I promise. Hold on just a minute, cease. Loans don't come for free. You can't just pay me back the $200 by giving me a few dollars each week. You'll also have to pay me interest. Interest? What's that? Asks Tanya. Interest is what banks charge people who borrow money to buy something big like a house or a car. Each month, people who take out a bank loan have to pay back some of the money they borrowed. When they make a payment on the loan, the bank adds interest to the payment. This is a way for a bank. As a business, you make money. People who take out a loan end up paying the bank more than the amount they borrowed. Ouch, says Tanya. That could hurt. So, how much interest would you charge me for a $200 loan? Tanya says that. Here's what I'm willing to do for you. He pauses long enough for Tanya to roll her eyes. Then continues, I'll loan you the $200 you need to buy the phone you want, but first I'll set up a payment plan. My plan, which you'll need to agree to and sign. I'll give you 20 weeks to pay me back. Each week's loan payments will be $11. After 20 weeks, you'll have to pay me $220. The $20 extra is the interest you'll have to pay me to get the phone you want right away. Or you could just save $10 a week. In 20 weeks, you'd have enough to buy the phone without a loan. I can't wait 20 weeks. Jorlena and Emma just got phones, and Kate and Jasmine have had their phones since Christmas, says Tanya. Well, it's your choice. Do you want the $200 loan in my interest terms or not? Tanya reluctantly agrees to Thad's terms and payment plan. Several weeks go by. Each week, Tanya pays Thad the $11 she owes him. Then on the 10th week, something horrible happens. Her new phone bill arrives with an extra and unaccepted charge on it. Something called an overage charge. She calls her friend Darlena. What's an overage charge? She asks. We used to get those, says Darlene. It's happened when you stream stuff without using Wi-Fi. When you use more data than you have in your phone plan. Tanya's phone bill is beginning to get too much stress on her budget. She only has $8 left to pay Thad. When she tells him she can't pay the full $11, she isn't very happy. Just give me the $8 you have, but next week you'll owe me $15. $15? She cried. If I give you the $3 I didn't have this week plus the $11 for next week, it adds up to $14. The $1 extra is the late fee you owe me for not making a full payment this week, explains Thad. It's on the contract. As each week goes by, Tanya falls farther and farther behind in her payments, and her debt gets bigger and bigger. By the 15th week, she is giving Thad over half her weekly earning and is at risk of not paying her latest cell phone bill. Finally, in desperation, he goes to their mother and explains her problem. Mom, you know that Thad loaned me money to buy a smartphone, right? Yes, dear. I'm aware of the financial arrangement you have with your brother. Well, he's charging me too much. At the rate I'm going, I owe him money for the rest of my life. Now, wait a minute, says her mother. You agreed to his terms, which seem pretty reasonable to him. You did get your phone, didn't you? Well, yeah, but then I got these. Tanya pulls out her earlier phone bill and stabs her finger at the overage charge. I wasn't accepting that. I thought the bill would be the same every month. That's what messed up my payment to Thad. Her mother looks at the charge and nods. Smartphones can be tricky that way, she says. You need to keep an eye on your data usage and while you're at it, have enough money set aside to pay an unaccepted charge like that. Tanya shakes her head in discouragement. Now I'm in a hole, she says. How do I get out? Her mother considers for a moment. You either have to make more money or spend less each week. If most of your money is going to pay off your phone or your phone bill, you might want to consider selling it. Sell a phone? No way. Well, if you don't like the choice, which other one do you prefer? None of them, sighs Tanya, and walks slowly back to her room. She mops for a while, then begins thinking about the choices her mom explained to her. She doesn't like any of them, but most of all she doesn't like the idea of giving up her phone. She thinks about whether she has other choices. She knows she has to make a decision, but her mind is numb from worry. She thinks she knows that she needs to do, but it isn't going to be easy. Write your own ending. Maybe you can help Tanya out. Think about what you would do if you were her, then write your own ending to this story. When you have finished, share your ending with others and compare solutions.